Carolina just played a playoff-type game for the #1 seed, but now they have to play another game to try and get a bye. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, Clark Judge. Glad to be with you on the NFL Previews Week 17 presented by Comcast. And Clark, it's Carolina at New Orleans. If they win, they lock up the #2 seed. If they lose and Atlanta wins, Carolina falls all the way to the 5th seed and will have to go on the road in the wild card weekend as opposed to having a bye. I'll get to that in a second, but when you talk about Carolina right now coming off this game with New York, what do you think they're taking out of that game against the Giants?
Well, they got a huge lift out of that ball game because they go to New York and they play arguably the best team in the NFL, but certainly the best team in the NFC. Play them tough and really came close to winning and maybe should have won it. I think they come out of that saying, we played on the road very well, and we know we can play with the best. If we have to play them again, we think we can win, and I think that's a big deal for them.
But they can't look too far ahead right now because they have to take care of this game at New Orleans. And when you're talking about the Saints, last game of the season, division game, this is going to be a tough matchup because they're going to be getting up for this. Plus, they're trying to get Drew Brees to pass Dan Marino's record.
Right. It's difficult for two reasons. One is the Saints are very tough at home, and you hit on that. They're 6-1 at home. They only lost to Minnesota. They feel as if they are a better team at home, and they are. Secondly, you mentioned the Drew Brees situation. They're going to empty the playbook. I mean, he has to get, 402 yards to break Marino's record? They're going to be throwing on every play. So it's going to be a wild game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think New Orleans really believes they can dent Carolina's playoff hopes in terms of, I'm talking about being the #2 seed. They can push them down to a wild card. And I think that's what they have left to play for at this point.
And, of course, if Carolina were to be a wild card, they'd have to go to Arizona in Week 1 because we know the Cardinals will be the 4th seed in the NFC. Clark, when you talk about this New Orleans team, though, you always talk about the weak link, and that being the defense. When we talk about the strength of Carolina's offense, we're talking about a team that's pounding you on the ground, and then finding Steve Smith. Do you see any reason to believe that that won't work this weekend?
No. I mean, you look at the last 9 games for New Orleans. I mean, only once have they held an opponent to under 20 points. Detroit. I mean, also they're the worst team in football. So no, I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think it's going to be a wild scoring affair. I mean, really, to me, it's going to be a tennis match. Both teams holding serve, and the team that has the ball at the end, I think, probably wins. But that's why it's going to be fun. I mean, two completely different offenses. One that really wants to pound you, the other wants to throw the ball.
What changes need to be made in New Orleans next season?
They need to get healthy. I mean, you look at New Orleans' situation this year. It's remarkable to me that they are where they are now. I mean, I'm talking about a winning record because they lost so many people on the defensive side of the ball to injuries. They got to get better there. I think they could use some offensive linemen, and I do think they need a power back.
All right, real quickly, one other guy we have to point out, D'Angelo Williams. And you talk about a guy that, Clark, when we did a segment of talking about the Pro Bowl, how he was left off because it's the whole season. But these are just the last 8 games alone. He has 16 touchdowns, Clark, in the last 8 games alone, and he's averaging over 6 yards a carry. I don't see New Orleans stopping him at all.
Yeah, I don't either. But, I mean, the question is Carolina going to stop Drew Brees? That's what it comes down to. You're talking about D'Angelo Williams. That, once again, is the case for voting in the Pro Bowl after the season. You look at that. How can you leave him off the Pro Bowl? You can't leave him out of the Pro Bowl. He is the best back in the NFC. Well, one of the 2 best backs, Adrian Peterson, right now. And he's playing so well. But he leads the league in touchdowns. How can you leave him out of an All-Star game?
There is one thing that D'Angelo Williams is doing better than Adrian Peterson, and that's hanging on to the football. AP's got a case of fumble angles. Let's take a look at AccuScore prediction for this game. 10,000 tests, 10,000 results. And how about that, Clark? On the computer, now remember, this is all mathematical, but on the computer, the Saints win the football game 53% of the time. This is an 8-7 New Orleans squad. Do you think they win?
Yeah, I'm with them on that. I like New Orleans in this game, and the reason is because they're at home. I mean, the NFC South teams are very difficult to beat at home. Plus, I think there's the incentive of we have nothing to play for now except for Drew Brees, and we can knock Carolina down. I think that's a lot to play for. So yeah, I like New Orleans.
All right, we'll see if that plays out. Really, only 4 games all year. NFC South teams have lost at home. Then this again, an NFC South team playing at home. For more on this game or any other in Week 17, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com. Watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For Clark Judge, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.